Welcome, welcome to the Tao of Women, and a deep bow to all of you that are here live with me and to all of you that are on the replay. It is such an honor to be in this practice with you. And today's practice is a really beautiful one, and it's near and dear to my heart. And it's interesting, I put my hand here, right? This is where we're going today. Uh, as you may know, each week I sit with a passage and then a practice emerges from the passage. And this week is the same. However, I read this passage and it requires us to take a few deep breaths to receive the wisdom here. And it was this morning in my dream that the practice emerged. So let's prepare ourselves to receive this passage with a nice deep breath, feeling yourself anchored in the present moment, feeling yourself open to receive the wisdom of the Tao. Passage 52, Finding Your Way. The Tao is the beginning. Everything has come from it. Everything will return to it. To find your way, go back to the beginning. You must go back the way you came. When you see the children, follow them to the parents. Your grief will be lifted when you remember where you came from. When you see through the darkness, there is light. When you retreat, you are strong. Look inside to find your way. Life is not always as it seems. Refrain from making judgments and being misled by appearances. You are on the right path. I'm going to read it again. It's a little bit of a longer one. Finding your way. The Tao is the beginning. Everything has come from it. Everything will return to it. To find your way, go back to the beginning. You must go back the way you came. When you see the children, follow them to the parents. Your grief will be lifted when you remember where you came from. When you see through the darkness, there is light. When you retreat, you are strong. Look inside and find your way. Life is not always as it seems. Refrain from making judgments and being misled by appearances. You are on the right path. And this is the character, the Chinese character and the small Nushu characters, the hidden language of women that we're remembering. And so let us practice. And I told you when we started, this came to me in a dream, because when I read that at first, find your way, I thought, well, we're going to do a walking meditation. But in the dream, I could hear this passage this morning. And it says, remember where you came from. You must start at the beginning. You have to go back to where you came from. Remember the children, follow the children to their parents. And so that, my friend, means we're going to do something entirely different. So with a nice humble bow, empty your cup, letting go your thinking mind, the activities of the day, and allow yourself to simply empty. And when you're ready, feel your feet on the floor, on the ground. Feel yourself rooted with your knees slightly bent. Start to unfurl your spine as you inhale. As you emerge and rolling your shoulders back, your head back, and stepping across the threshold into our sanctuary, into our practice. And we're going to start with a standing practice. Your feet are shoulder width apart. Your knees are slightly bent. It is as if you're sitting on a tall stool. Your tailbone is going toward the earth while your spine is long and lifted up through the crown. And it's as if you're being lifted and then just you can settle and relax into the posture. This is Wuji, where we're simply being in our structure and allowing our mind to settle. Let your breath start to settle, and we're going to anchor our breath. And that simply means allow your attention to fuse with your breath as your breath enters deep into your body, all the way down into your belly. And spend just a moment standing, anchoring your breath, drawing it deep down inside. In that passage, it said, look within to find your way. So turn your attention inward to follow your breath all the way down to the base of your body, down to your pelvic floor. And just let your energy settle here for a moment. We're going into a deeper practice. This is a Neigong practice. This is a deep alchemical practice. This practice helps build your Datien. This is a foundational practice for true energy cultivation and transformation. So after your mind has settled here and your breath has anchored, turn your palms toward each other as if you're holding a chi ball, a basketball in front of you. Open your palms, spread your fingers right at the level of your navel. And now let your attention rest at your navel, inside your body, at the back of your navel. The passage said you have to go back to the beginning, where you came from. This is your umbilical cord. This is where you started to develop, was from this place. So let your attention rest here at your beginning. As you breathe, let your breath fill this space. Slow and steady, curious and open. Remembering where you came from. When you breathe, this area expands outward and stretches. And now from here, we're going to go deeper into the practice. The passage says, follow the children to the parents. Now, the children in Qigong and the people, what we're going to do is follow the children to the parents. So directly behind your navel, if you drew a line all the way through your body to your spine, that place in your spine is called the door of life. That's called mingmen. And that's where your kidneys are. That's the house of your Jing, your essence. And from Qigong perspective, you're born, your prenatal Jing, your prenatal energy came from your parents, came from your ancestors. Mingmen is the door of life. It is the gateway of your body in which your essence, your ancestral lineage and line enters your body. So let your attention and breath start to fill the space on your spine directly across from your navel. And so now as you breathe, your low back starts to expand, like you're breathing into the space around your kidneys. Mingmen, the door of life. This is said to be where your soul enters your body. So breathing into this space, breathing your attention, your breath, your awareness here. Following the children to their parents. And when you remember where you came from, there's a joy. So breathe into that joy of remembering this is the place where your essence enters your body. And now start to create a connection, a relationship between the place on the back of your body, mingmen, and your navel. So as you breathe, they're in relationship to each other. As you inhale, they go further apart. As you exhale, they come closer together. You're creating this, you're paying attention to the relationship between these 2 points. This is called your Ming line. Your Ming line is your destiny line. It's the line in which you travel from one life to through this life, where this energy travels through your body. Now, these practices can technically take a really long time, but for today, we're going to anchor our breath here. And now we're going to bring our awareness to a third point of attention. And if you so choose, you can turn your hands downward, and this might help draw your fingertips, and your hands are directing this energy now down toward your perineum, your pelvic floor. So as you breathe now, your pelvic floor starts to expand. This point is called Huiyin or Huyin. It is the conception vessel 1 or Ren 1. It is the beginning of the yin vessel that runs up the front of your body. This is the beginning of the human vessel. And again, this is where you began. So let your attention rest in where you began. As you inhale, it expands. And now from here, create a relationship. Draw your attention and your awareness to the relationship of all 3 points, creating a triangle, a line running in from navel to mingmen, and a line running from navel to pelvic floor, and a line running from mingmen to pelvic floor, creating a triangle, downward facing triangle. And as you breathe, feel the connection between these 3 points. To find your way, go inward. You have to go back to the beginning where you came from. Now, in the middle of that triangle that you're creating, that is where your Datien is. That is where you're cultivating the container to store all this energy as alchemists, we create this container and then we fill the container. This practice helps create the container. And so you can gently press your hands together and gently pull them apart. And you just get curious and see what you're feeling between your palms. But more importantly, where I want you to rest your attention is in between the center of that triangle. Listen into that space and feel. Maybe subtle, maybe not so subtle. To me, I can feel quite a bit of energy here. And so we're not just standing still, which I love to do. Take your hands as if you are just picking up that chi ball. Now your hands are holding that energy, and pull your hands forward just a little bit, like you're pulling that energy out through the front of your body, out through your navel. And then lower it down and let it come down toward your perineum. And then let it rise up that line from perineum to mingmen as you lift your hands. And now let it travel that line from mingmen to navel, out, and then from navel to perineum, and then from perineum to mingmen, mingmen to navel. And now you see that you're making a circle. Start to rotate and move, mobilize the chi ball. When you get to deep stages of alchemy, this happens on its own. It's a spontaneous arising. But in the beginning, we learn these skills and we practice this. So I'm directing this energy. But when you get really good at it, the masters don't have to direct this energy. It spontaneously arises. They can choose to direct it wherever they want. But for now, we are mobilizing and activating our Datien, and we are remembering where we came from. And so while you're in this practice, I'm going to read the passage to you one more time. Finding your way. The Tao is the beginning. Everything has come from it. Everything will return to it. To find your way, go back to the beginning. You must go back the way you came. When you see the children, follow them to the parents. Your grief will be lifted when you remember where you came from. When you see through the darkness, there is a light. When you retreat, you are strong. Look inside and find your way. Life is not always as it seems. Refrain from making judgments and being misled by appearances. You are on the right path. Returning back to the practice with you, rotating this chi ball. And since we've had this really nice focused practice here, I invite you to, we'll start to complete here. And so what I invite you to do is slow your movements way down. Make them so slow. They could be synchronized with your breath or not. But what I want you to feel is, without making it happen, if it happens on its own, great. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. But I want you to feel, as your hands come up, feel the energy come up. As your hands come forward, feel the energy come forward and feel how your body responds. As your hands come down, the energy comes down. Let your hands be the ones that are moving this energy, not your mind. Your mind is paying attention, but the energy of your hands is connecting and moving this energy. This is a big way that hands-on healers can direct and guide energy, because their hands connect to it and drag it up, drag it forward, set it down. So slowing it down. And we're about to come to completion. So after we slow this down, start to make it smaller, like you're spiraling back toward the center point in between the triangle, down to your Datien, and make it smaller, so small that now outside you can't see me moving, but inside I still feel that spiral toward the center. And then I'm going to let my hands cover, one hand over the other. I'm going to seal it in. And just breathe here and let your mind rest here. Hold on the heavens as your hands lift up, your hands rise, your body rises, you inhale, and then as you exhale, your hands float down. And this was a deep energetic practice, and maybe you felt a lot or maybe you didn't, but nonetheless, really take the time to seal this energy in. Anything that you don't need, let it go down to the ground, to compost, and then give yourself this moment to complete and to integrate, and to remember that you are on the right path. And anytime you're lost, look within to your center. You have a Ming line, a destiny line, you have an origin, you have a center, and that will always help you find your place. Now this last one, our hands are going to float up and our feet are going to come together. And now stretch up. Boom, because we did energy work today, a lot of energy work, and we did stillness practice. So that's like a Shen, like it's a more spiritual. So just reach up so you're in your physical body. And now turn your hands down, like you're stretching your palms. And now let your hands float down so that you're becoming very aware that you're shifting your awareness back into the ordinary world. And your mind is clear and bright. Your emotions are present and they're stable. Your body is alert and relaxed. And you seal it in. You rub it in, make a little circle in one direction and in the other direction. Have a nice deep breath. Be really proud of yourself for the practice. And we bow. Right hand makes a fist. Rise. Shine brilliant and bright. Yang. Woo, yang rising. Left hand covers it. Yin. Cyclical, like the moon. Feminine. Always whole, even in the darkest hour. And together we bow. We bow to each other. We bow to our teachers. We bow to our teachers' teachers and the teacher within. And drawing this back humbly into our heart, but we do not store it in our heart. We store it in our belly. We're filling that Datien with this humility. And we step back across the threshold. Rub it in, shake it off. Thank you so much for this practice because, like I said, it came to me in a dream. And so I've really loved the line, don't let the appearances mislead you. There's a lot more here. Go and follow your dream. And that's what this whole journey is about for me, It's follow those quiet whispers that could be easily overlooked. So I would love to hear what you experience from this practice. You can share it with me in conversation. You can put it in the chat. Remember, there's always a link to get the book. I'll see you here next week. And I'd love to see you in Qigong class. Bye-bye.